It was April 16th, 1989, when my parents, Carrie Long and Matthew Stevens, welcomed their baby girl into the world. They named her Dolores, unaware of the meaning of the name. Sorrow. Little Dolly had hazelnut brown hair and big brown eyes. My mother often spoke of how her rosy cheeks, fair skin, and pretty frilly dresses made her look identical to a porcelain doll. Even at the age of 4, people were surprised at how dainty and delicate she was. The way she was described by others, she was perfect. Despite her being an accidental pregnancy, my parents being no older than 15 at the time, she was considered a blessing. I don't begrudge the love my parents have always had for her, but for once, I wish I could have meant as much to them as she did. I never met the girl. I was born in 2005, long after she went missing. After losing Dolly and the series of miscarriages that followed, my parents had not much love left. I was born more for the sake of it than anything else. I never went a day without hearing about Dolly and my other lost siblings too. They attempted to name some of them, but gave up after the 8th. Babies that were never born, yet I could never live up to them. Memorial decor filled our home. Not that it ever felt like home to me. Hazel would have been a beautiful girl with hair like dolls. Angel would have had Dolly's kind nature. What about me? Mallory? Molly? I'm tall and thin, with pasty skin and beady brown eyes. I am not the beauty my sister was. But I'm here. I never left. You can just imagine how I felt when Dolly appeared on our doorstep in January, covered in dirt. Her hair remained in pigtails, and she wore a pink summer dress. Should she not be a 30-year-old woman by now? She turned 5 on her birthday, but was 4 when she showed up. I stepped out of the house to go to school and saw her sitting in the front yard, as if she never left. I paused for a moment, thinking it was just some random girl. I went inside and got my dad, telling him there's an abandoned toddler outside. Mum was showering, unaware I'd just found her long-lost daughter. "Oh, my, Dolly. Dolly, is that you? Come to Daddy, baby girl. I've missed you so much," he sobbed as he squeezed her tight. She didn't react at first, only when he pulled away, looked into her eyes and said gently, "Dolly?" Did she respond with an enthusiastic, "Daddy?" I was more confused than anything as I watched this all unfold. How could this child be my missing older sister? How could she just turn up 26 years later without a scratch on her and without aging a day? I tried to point this out, but no one acknowledged my protest. Needless to say, Mum was just as ecstatic as Dad had been, if not more. Dolores was sweet in the beginning. I'd sit and watch her play and draw. She was a normal, pretty little girl. I wanted to ask what happened, but my parents insisted we move past it. They were just grateful to have their Dolly back. I, for one, felt more pushed out than ever. My first real suspicion of Dolly not being Dolly began on the Thursday following her reappearance. I mentioned the stuffed horse she'd been known to carry around with her. She looked me dead in the eyes, then looked down at my drawing of horses in a field, and tore it up, all the while screaming, "I hate horses," over and over, until the paper was practically confetti. She then looked up at me again, and said in her not-so-sweet little voice, "And I hate you." I didn't chase after her when she stomped upstairs to her bedroom. I just sat there, mouth agape, trying to process what had just happened. Up until then, we'd been having quite a nice time scribbling away with her crayons together. Perhaps the horse was a trigger for her. I tried not to take it personally, but the oddities didn't stop there. Her once thick and healthy loose curls were falling out in clumps. Her ivory skin was turning a greyish, greenish blue. Her adorable brown eyes were blackening, and she was getting unexplainably thinner. I tried to express my concerns to my parents, but they wouldn't hear it. Dolly hasn't ever thrown a tantrum. Stop trying to get her in trouble. Don't say such things about your sister. Nothing is wrong with her. The last few months have been strange, to say the least. But nothing major has happened. For the most part, I'd had a nice time hanging out with my sister, and having her around made me less jealous than before. I didn't see her as competition anymore. Just my unfortunate, older baby sister Dolores. That was until last Sunday. It was the night before the anniversary of the day she went missing, and I awoke to her standing beside my bed, watching me sleep. Half asleep, I asked, "Dolly, what are you doing?" "They got rid of me. Then they replaced me with you. They have to pay." "What are you talking about?" "It's not your fault, Molly. It was Mummy. She didn't see me get in the car. She left me in the woods, and Daddy helped her. They have to pay." She then walked out and went to sleep. It didn't happen again, and neither of us mentioned it. I began researching her disappearance. The things she said, what did they mean? I thought about how she hadn't aged, and how she'd been covered in dirt when I found her. Then I thought about my mother's history of suicide attempts near the time of Dolly's disappearance. Then I thought about her unusually coloured skin, her hair, and her eyes. I researched children going missing and coming back the exact same age. Dolores was one of many. All the children died mysteriously after being found, and a lot of them did strange things before they passed. Some killed animals, family pets, siblings, family, other children their age. Or they commit arson, attack people, or make strange art. I realized their art, actions, or weird things they said connected to their disappearances. Maggie Price was found in her backyard, 13 years after her disappearance, still a little girl, and covered in bruises. She cut her dad's hands off as he slept, before stabbing him in the throat. Their decaying bodies were found 3 days later. There were all sorts of stories like this. It occurred to me to check Dolly's drawings. Cars, forests, dirt, shovels. Mum and Dad with X's for eyes. I ran to the garage where her toy horse was framed on the wall, then climbed into my dad's car. When I got to the woods closest to my house, I knew where to go. Our old dog, Ducky's grave. There it was, an empty hole beside his place of burial. Something had escaped. No, someone. I've been staying at a friend's house since then. I know that I can't stop Dolores from completing her unfinished business, or I'll become a part of it. I'm starting the grieving process for her and my parents now, to make it easier for myself when they die. To be honest, I'm going to miss Dolly most.
Hello, Sinister listeners. If you've enjoyed this story, then you'll find all the author's information in the description below. For more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to succumb to the sinister.